Hey, welcome to the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker, and we're doing better than, let's say, Olympic ice hockey.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good call out. All right, nicely done. I like this already.
What a disaster.
All right, yeah.
And you know what
it's bad. It's not good.
Like the International Olympic Committee and the International Ice Hockey Federation, IIHF, and all these people. You know what they failed to realize is that they take 3-hour lunches in Italy.
Well, yeah. See, the problem was trusting Italians to get hockey right when they're on the edge of missing out on back-to-back World Cups. Mm-hmm. Like the Italians aren't getting soccer right, and you trusted them to get hockey right. Well, and it was a bad idea.
Here's the thing: like it takes 3 years to build an arena in the United States where you're working 24/7 and people don't care about working 24/7. Okay. In Italy, to your point, they aren't doing a really good job. But here's the thing. They take it easy. They're taking long vacations. Well, they're getting in late. They're taking a 3-hour lunch. They're having a few drinks of, a few glasses of vino, and then getting back to it. So they're probably working as opposed to 24/7, which we had on the Dome here at the end. They're probably working 5.
So here's the thing about Italian culture. This is going to blow your mind, but I promise you, this is a real thing. In Italy,
Rocchio, the vowel, so we know.
It's just in Italy, there is a phenomenon that at construction sites, at almost every construction site in Italy, there will be multiple old men who will stand there, watch the construction, and every once in a while make little comments about it. Oh. It is literally a phenomenon in Italy. We're at construction sites. There will be, and these men do not work for the construction company. They probably never did construction in their life, but they will take whole chunks of their day to stand next to construction sites, drink cappuccino, and make little comments about how the person could be doing their job better. And it is a phenomenon where it happens all over the country, all over the place. Okay. It's insane. You're 100% right. I'm sure at some point an old Italian guy was like, I think that ice might be a little short. Another guy said, that's fine. It's my break. And now we have a shorter ice.
So I've got two things for you. Number one, the North End in Boston is kind of like the Hill here. Very, very Italian. Same thing. Very old Italian men just sit out in front of a cafe, drinking their coffee, talking and making comments about pretty much everything that's going on around them, which is very cool. I have a friend that had comments made about her. So pretty funny. But here's the other thing. With you talk about them standing around and watching construction sites. So I had a guy that did landscaping in my yard. Oh, no. Great landscaping guy. Did I ever tell you this story?
No, I'm prepared to hear what I'm going to hear.
He also did landscaping for Boone's Crossing out in Chesterfield when it was being built. The guy who owned Boone's Crossing would literally sit in his car all day and watch this guy and his team do the landscaping. This guy's name was Enos Stanley Kroenke. He would sit in his car in front of Boone's Crossing, where the Walmart and Target and all that stuff is now. And it was THF, which was the name of the company. THF Construction was to have fun. Can you imagine that? Him having fun? But anyway, he would sit in his car and watch this guy and his landscaping team all day long to make sure that they were doing it right.
Just in case you thought I wasn't being completely BSing everybody, you can actually, it has its own Wikipedia page, this phenomenon. It's called umarell, UMARELL. You can find it on Wikipedia right now, and I'll just give you a quick description that Wikipedia gives. Are men of retirement age who spend their time watching construction sites, especially roadworks, stereotypically with their hands clasped behind their back and offering unwanted advice to the workers. Its literal meaning is little man. The term is employed as lighthearted mockery or self-depreciation. And then you can see the picture on that Wikipedia uses a bunch of old guys standing with their hands behind their back.
Yeah, check it out on Wikipedia.
It literally has its own Wikipedia page.
See, these are things you can only get at STL Sports Central, and you don't even need to be an insider, although we'd like you to become an insider because there's sports stuff that you just can't get anywhere else that you can get by becoming an STL Sports Central insider. And all you need to do is go to stlsportscentral.com and sign up, and you can get extra Bernie and Randy. You can read all of Bernie's great stuff at stlsports.com. You will be supporting local independent sports media, and ad-free reading experiences on stlsportscentral.com. Check it out now at stlsportscentral.com and become an insider. Okay, so we're going to have Mike Claiborne here in just a moment from the winter meetings in Orlando. Looking forward to that. A couple of moves today, none by the Cardinals, but the Phillies brought back Kyle Schwarber, $150 million deal, and Edwin Diaz becomes again the highest paid relief pitcher in baseball. A 3-year deal worth $69 million. Why he didn't sign during the season so that Chip Carey could talk about it, we don't know, but he didn't. And so now now Chip's, when the Cardinals play the Dodgers, he's just going to have to reference Edwin Diaz and his $69 million contract.
I can't believe the Dodgers went out and spent a lot of money for a premier position. I'm shocked by this. Can't believe they did that.
$23 million a year.
Unbelievable what they're able to do. And again, amazing. I mean, why the move seems pretty obvious when you watch the World Series. They almost just lost. Yeah. Seems like a pretty big, obvious move for the Dodgers to make, and good for them. Hey, they got all the money in the world. At least they're paying him up front. Yeah, I guess. So it's my only reaction out of Dodgers contracts.
Well, they were rumored to be in the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes, and they still might be. Conforto didn't do anything for them last year. Looks like Pages, Andy Pages, not Pedro, is pretty well set in the outfield there. With Mookie Betts moving to the infield, their outfield was kind of in flux last year, and it still might be. All right, let's go to Orlando, where Mike Claiborne is standing by. He is at the winter meetings covering the Cardinals and everybody else, and there is the great Mike Claiborne. Claibs, it's good to see you. Where are you right now?
Well, we are here at the in Radio Row here, or whatever they want to call it, here at the hotel for the winter meetings in Orlando, Florida. It's kind of like homecoming because this is a time when you see everybody you normally run across during the baseball season, and everyone's here, from the general managers and presidents to the equipment managers and trainers. Everybody has their own separate meetings, and here in just a little bit, we're going to have the draft order, the draft lottery selection that take place. And after that, your good buddy and mine, Greg Amsinger, are going to go somewhere and get reacquainted. So it's a fun time. It's one of those times where you do a lot of sitting around and waiting on something to happen. You guys were just talking about some of the deals that took place earlier. It's changed a little bit because you have so many people whispering about something that they heard from someone else, and the agents try and create some interest. You have players who are looking for jobs and former players who are looking for jobs. And it is the largest job fair baseball has to offer for aspiring people, not just broadcasters, but we have agronomists here and trainers here, marketing people here, all looking for jobs, and meetings taking place in corners under trees. It's kind of a circus, but it is what it is.
What do you think about the Cardinals? Is there anything going on with the Cardinals right now? That's what people
want
to know.
They're open for business. They're listening. I don't think there's any doubt now. You talk to anybody, they'll tell you the Cardinals are listening. But I think they are patient enough to be able to listen, take it back. Listen, there's no mandatory reason on why you have to do a deal here today or tomorrow. I think you're going to see teams try and get a lot of their work done before the holidays. That means whether they're going to sign free agents or not. And I think they'd like to do a trade or two before then. I think over the last 2 or 3 years, we've learned that taking this thing deeper into the winter doesn't really bode well for a lot of different reasons. And I think players are now telling their agents, look, I want to know where we're going to be before the holidays, or certainly during that holiday period. No one wants to be at home wondering, do they have a job or not at the 1st of February. So I think there's going to be more activity. With regard to the Cardinals, they have a pretty interesting laundry list. They know they need more power from the right side. They know they could use more pitching. But they also know they need to take a long look at the people they have within the organization to see how deep they have to go in bringing in other talent. This is one of the first teams I've seen, Randy, well, certainly in my lifetime, that doesn't have a star player on it.
Yep.
You can go back to the days of Stan Musial and look at all the eras and decades where there's always been a guy who wore the Cardinal uniform that was recognized by baseball. We don't have that right now. Do we have players with that potential? I don't know. You can say a Mason Wynn or Brendan Donovan. I don't know how long they're going to be here. And then I think everybody else after that is a work in progress. So the Cardinals are in territory we've never been in my lifetime, where they don't have a star player from somewhere. how they get one, that's going to be up to the people upstairs.
So we now know, according to Chaim Bloom last night, and I'll throw up the tweet that John Denton had for everybody, which is St. Louis Cardinals Pobo Chaim Bloom reaffirmed today at MLB winter meetings that releasing veteran third baseman Nolan Nado won't be happening anytime soon. It is not an option. So how are you? What's your feeling? If you can do like a temperature or percentage wise or 1 out of 10, what's your feeling that Nolan Arenado does in fact get dealt this winter, or are you starting to doubt that it's going to happen again?
Well, I think that's part of the posturing of making sure we're not giving a player away. Okay, we're not going to do the Rendon route where the Angels didn't get anything out of that deal. The Cardinals did get something out of that deal, because here's the one thing that we need to take into account: he's still the best defensive third baseman the organization has. Period.
Yeah.
Now, is he the guy that's going to hit third or fourth or fifth in your order? Well, that's been the issue, because offensively he hasn't produced. If you can go out and get some thunder where maybe he hits seventh or eighth in the order, maybe he's a different guy. I think that obviously the contract has a lot to say with whether he's going to be here or not. And I think it comes down to how much of a contract do the Cardinals want to eat in order to move him. Again, it's not like there's some budding superstar in the organization that's ready to take over third base. We don't have it. Now, maybe J.J. Weatherholt might be that guy, but I don't think the Cardinals thought J.J. Weatherholt was going to be a third baseman when they took him. I think they thought he was going to be a middle infield guy, which he still might be. So there's still so many things on the board for them to try and address. It's congested right now, but I would be comfortable with Nolan Arenado being on this ball club because he can still pick it, and we don't have anybody who can pick it. And especially if you don't have a team with defense. With real punch in your offense, you better be able to catch the ball.
And Claibs, to your initial point there, for me, when Chaim Bloom says that, it's not an option, and he could add right now, but you don't want to tell everybody that, there's a chance that we could release him, because you want to have a semblance of market value, right? You want to have somebody believe, well, the Cardinals aren't going to let him just walk away, so we'll offer the Cardinals. We'll pay the guy $5 million a year, and that at least saves the Cardinals $10 million, right? So it seems to me that that's a smart approach to take.
Well, yeah, you're right, and I think it's one of those deals where you're not going to give a guy away because he can still play. Now, I think more importantly, we're going to learn that he's the second or third option for any team right now, and if you think you're going to get a lot in that situation, so be it. But nobody's knocking the door down trying to bring him in unless he fills the role, as I just mentioned. He's a seventh or eighth place hitter in the order, because offensively it just hasn't worked for him.
Hey, let's talk about some of the other teams in the division, and Scott Boras always does this, but he pointed out today, he said that he intimated at least that the Reds were interested in Cody Bellinger. They apparently had interest in Kyle Schwarber, as did the Pirates. So do you buy these teams are really interested?
I think this is agent speak more than anything else. He's trying to float that out there and just say, hey, trying to get these teams to spend money. I don't think it was a coincidence that he mentioned Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, teams that don't spend a lot of money. So it's one of those deals now where he's trying to engage people and push the envelope towards some of these teams who haven't made an investment. So that's just agent speak, in my opinion. And there's a lot more of that takes place here than people are willing to admit.
One of the things that me and Randy have been talking about, heck, the entire channel, STL Sports Central, we've been talking about it. We've been throwing out just what can Brendan Donovan bring to the Cardinals. And I'm not trying to get into names or anything with you, Clay, or anything in the weeds like that. Just the bottom line is, do you see the Cardinals being blown away in making a Brendan Donovan trade?
They would like to, but I think
it looks kind of
they would like to be, but I think you have to take into account his age, his health, and some other things. Is he serviceable? Can he help a team? There's no doubt about it. But I think you have to be realistic on how long control another team will have, his age, and he's had a few injuries that have kind of slowed him down just a hair. But you know what? I'd be very happy if he was still here. I'd love to keep him and build around him.
Yeah, that is an ideal scenario. However, if the reports are true that 15 teams are interested, half of baseball is interested in the guy, then clearly there is competition for his services. And the Cardinals right now, would you agree that they have three starters? They have Fitz, the newcomer, They have Liberatore and they have McGreevy. Those are really the only three that
those are the only legitimate. You're right.
Rotation.
So if you can get legitimate pitching, I'm not just talking about somebody else's laundry that they've given up on. I'm talking about a guy who can come in and help your rotation right now. Then you got to make the deal. Especially if he's under control.
Yeah. Claibs, one other thing here about the winter meetings from me. And you and I kind of referenced this when we were on that show together. But when you talk to people in baseball, like you said, it's a job fair. But it seems like now general managers kind of bunker down in their suites.
Yeah.
Did you guys,
Randy? I'm looking at
right?
Chaim Bloom now, and I'm looking at him now as he walked by. It's the first time he's been out of his suite since he's been here. They just don't get out. I mean, there's too many ways to communicate with the other organizations if a team has an interest. I think this is more of a feeling out session than anything else. And as I mentioned earlier, I think people want to get a deal done if they need to before the holidays. But this is something baseball needs to take a look at in having a period of free agent signings and things of that nature, because you want to brand your game when you're not playing. You want to create interest in going into the holiday season. I think that would really create a lot of interest, whether you're selling tickets or just talking the game. That's something they need to take a look at.
I think there's a good way to create some interest, and our friend Greg Amsinger was talking with Oli Marmol about this yesterday, which is putting Victor Scott II in the leadoff spot and bringing some of that Vince Coleman energy. Oli seemed to be open to the thought process, but me and Randy have talked about that a lot. Do you think that's a legitimate thing that they could try?
I do. I do, because you know what? Speed kills, man. And when you have a guy who can run and can get on base, it just opens up your game, especially for a team that can't hit home runs. So you got to figure ways to get on base, and that would be a good start. You got to at least give them a look at it. At least
I'd like it. I just wonder, you talk about it too, like do the Cardinals see, or do the Cardinals believe his ceiling as an on-base percentage guy? Do they ever see that as being high enough to make it work?
I think it depends on what they see in spring training with him. He doesn't need to try and hit home runs. Put the ball on the ground, and he can outrun most people. So I think that's going to be a philosophy they're going to have to take a long, hard look at and try and instill in him as soon as possible.
And Claibs, one of the things that's happened in baseball is when Chaim Bloom was in Tampa, it was the 3 true outcomes, and they weren't trying to run. The Tampa Bay Rays led the majors in stolen bases last year. I wonder if, because of what you're saying, the Cardinals can't hit home runs, if they might be more inclined to try to steal more bases in 2026, because they were bottom third last year, and they seem to have the athleticism to be able to do it.
And I think that's a good point, Randy, and I think that you're going to look at that a little bit more. You got to push the envelope, plain and simple. Hey, our internet connection here sucks, so you guys are coming in and out. I think because everybody's working at the same time, that's why it is. So if I see garbled, that's one of the reasons why. So
you're good, man.
All right. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. I want to get your take on Phillip Rivers, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers signing with the Colts.
Well, you know what? That shows you how desperate people are. If Phillip Rivers can just hand it off and not get hurt trying to hand it off to that great running back they have, they'll be okay. But I think their season is shot.
Hey, you have fun down there. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
All right, brothers.
Greg.
I'll see Greg in just a little bit. I'll pass it on to him.
All right, brother. Thanks, Michael.
All right,
see you.
You guys take care. All right.
You too. Bye. That's our partner here, Mike Claiborne, joining us on the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central. I just assume at this point, because of the reported interest in Donovan, that the Cardinals will move him, and I would allow for a bidding war to take place. If indeed 15 teams are interested in Donovan, there's got to be a couple that are going to be emotional about it and say, you know what, I got to have this guy, and will overpay, maybe in terms of getting a middle of the rotation starting pitcher for a guy like that. And if you're the Cardinals, you are dealing with depth because you have Weatherholt.
I look at both. We have to be blown away to make an Arenado deal. I look at that and the tweet from John Denton, essentially in the same vein, which is these are things Chaim Bloom has to say because he's playing the game.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just tank asset value by saying stupid things and by giving up the game essentially. And that's what you'd be doing by saying, yeah, we'll release him, because now a team just goes, what the hell are we going to give you anything?
Yeah,
We're
right.
just going to sit here.
we'll
We're going to
sign him
sit
for
on our
minimum.
hands and wait, especially if you're a winning club, because you're going to say, if it's us between everybody else on the free market, we're probably going to be able to grab them. And so you're not gonna burn it there. And again, why wouldn't you tell teams you have to bring as your absolute best offer to get Brendan Donovan? He is your best player. Of course, you're gonna say that. The issue, though, as we get back to our conversation from yesterday, is that when you talk about a second baseman, he's not the best second baseman available in the market right now. And you talk about left fielder, he's not necessarily the best left fielder available in the market either. And so there's other teams, there's other players that teams are going to be looking to give their absolute best for, and it's not necessarily going to be for Brendan Donovan, because you're going to have to see the eventual fallout, which is why I think Brendan Donovan, Wilson Contreras, Nolan Arenado, all three of these players seem to have a lot of reasonings why their deal is going to get done in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me think that if there is a trade for the Cardinals this week, it's Lars Nootbaar.
Well, and that's going to be dependent upon his health and the heels and everything. With Brendan Donovan, here's the thing. It's one of those, he's not a guy that has a gift of like a superb tool. When you look at the 5 tool players, he can hit. He can hit for a little bit of power, not much. He can run a little bit. He can field, and he can throw. So he's got all of them. He's not great at any of them, but he's pretty good at pretty much everything that you need to do, and he doesn't make mistakes to cost you games. That's the biggest thing. If you get Ketel Marte on your team, Ketel Marte is going to do things that cost you games. He's a super talented player, huh?
Yeah. Zach Blanchard says it here. He's the best Swiss Army knife available.
Yeah. If you get a guy like Lau is going to do things that help you win games, but his skill set, his toolbox isn't as good as Brendan Donovan. So I think what teams are doing is it's kind of like Tommy Edman. They're looking at the skill set and saying, okay, he's got a set of skills, very particular skills, that will help us not lose games. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're trying to do in baseball now. If you cannot lose games, like the Yankees lost a World Series, if you cannot lose games, then almost inevitably, the team that you're playing is going to find a way to lose it. That's one of the reasons the Cardinals were bad, really bad, a few years ago when they won the only 71 games, because they were horrific defensively. If you play clean baseball, and it's been this way for a while, you are going to have the other team lose, and you can wind up with 90, 91, 92 W's next to your name.
It's all about cherish those 27.
And Donovan, by the way, is one of those guys who can help you not lose games.
Yeah. He takes care of those 27 outs. He doesn't waste them offensively, and he doesn't extend them defensively. He takes care of those 27 outs, and that's, to your point, that's how you win more baseball games. It sounds boring, but that literally, when it comes down to it, that's just how you win more baseball games.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the winter meetings. Number one, let's stick with the Cardinals for a moment. People talking about an Oli Marmol extension, and I guess, is this because of the Benjamin Hockman?
Well, actually, it goes back to, there was a bunch of people, I believe Derek Gould reported it. There was a bunch of reports right at the end of November that we didn't get to talk about because we weren't on, I believe on like the 29th and the 30th. That's right over Thanksgiving, that they were apparently, the report was that they were talking to Marmol about an extension.
Okay.
Then it gets reignited by Benjamin Hockman kind of tapping back in live to Chaim Bloom last night and his availability at the MLB winter meetings.
Here's why the Cardinals aren't talking about it, because you're not going to sign a
manager. You don't think they're talking about it?
Huh?
You don't think they're talking about it?
They might be thinking about it, but as Chaim Bloom said, not at this time, because there's going to be a lockout. Why sign a manager to an extension and pay him during a lockout when you don't have to, when your contract with him matches up perfectly with the end of the CBA? And then if he goes right before a new season starts, after the lockout is over, then he goes and you find a different manager. But there's no good reason to sign a guy for a couple of $1 million a year and pay him a couple of $1 million in 2027 when he has nothing to do.
Chaim said Chaim shut down the extension.
He's I think to Hockman, he said there's nothing to report right now.
Oh, okay. That's that. I feel like it's a little different than kind of shutting down.
He didn't.
There's nothing to report right now.
Yeah, there is nothing.
But
because they aren't going to sign him when there's a lockout coming.
Fair enough. Let's hear our good friend Bernie Miklas. He dropped a video today talking all about that, and he thinks we could be seeing good old Oli for a while here.
Quote, I've really enjoyed getting to know Oli, Bloom said. I've enjoyed the relationship that we built during the couple of years I was in that role, meaning the advisory role, and the relationship continues to develop and grow. Bloom added, quote, I'm hopeful that this is something where we can, let me do this again. I'm hopeful that this is something where we get to work together for a long time, and I've really enjoyed how the relationship is progressing, but nothing specifically to share on that. Well, he didn't really have to share any more than that, because while Bloom did not confirm the obvious and maybe gave himself just a little bit of wiggle room, it's pretty obvious where this is heading with what he said there. Oli Marmol will be managing the Cardinals into the future unless something unexpected changes, and he'll be a central figure in the rebuilding project.
Your thoughts on that?
And I would think that if Oli desires to do that, and he's been with the organization essentially since 2006, then I think that Oli would wind up as the Cardinal manager. And as Chaim referenced, it is an evolving relationship. But again, I'll go back to what I said. I would think that after a lockout is over, that Marmol would be the Cardinal skipper. But again, what's the point of the Cardinals giving him $2 million to not manage? The Cardinals, as we all know, are in a budget situation right now, and they did pay people during the pandemic. They kept everybody. They didn't lay anybody off during the pandemic, but these are different economic times. They aren't drawing like they used to. The TV money isn't there like it used to be. And with that being the case, my guess would be that when they have a lockout, from baseball ops all the way down to the people that are doing social media, there are going to have to be some cuts during a lockout. And until there is a new CBA, and maybe they'll reach a new CBA in July. And then you say, okay, Oli, let's work on a new 3-year deal or something like that.
That makes sense. Cronky Hater, how can you allow a manager to coach a team on a 1-year contract? You simply let him do his job.
Yeah, Tony La Russa, like the last 5 years he was here, was on a 1-year contract every year. And it seemed to work out okay.
Art Howe figured it out.
He did, huh?
I mean,
working on a 1-year deal.
Apparently,
yeah, it does. Kurt Suzuki's going to do it. You can do it. And by the way, that's the same reason the Angels gave Suzuki and Mike Maddox and their coaching staff 1-year deals, because they're looking at a deal now where they're at this stage. They're thinking that there's going to be a lockout. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, Joe Torre won the World Series in 96, 97, or 96, 98, 99, 2000, lost in 2001, didn't go in 2002, lost in 2003, then had the 3-0 lead in game in the LCS in 04, went into the last year of his contract in 07, I believe. Mm-hmm. Joe Torre, who had won 5 World Series for them, and the Yankees let him go into the last year of his contract.
Kind of glad I was pretty young for the last time the Yankees were really dominant in baseball. Yeah, that must have sucked.
It was awesome. No, Joe is as good a guy as there was.
Joe's
likable
fantastic.
Team. They didn't. People think, they went crazy spending. They had Scott Brocious at third. They developed Jeter, Chuck Knobloch at center, or at second. Tino was inexpensive. He was just a trade with Seattle.
Really clean pitching staff, huh?
Yeah. When you look at El Duque and Andy Pettit and David Cohn, it was pretty good. You're thinking that they had Rocket by then, and they
didn't have Rocket yet. No, they didn't have Rocket yet. Who was the other Yankee pitcher who got dinged? Was it not Pettit? Didn't he get dinged for
HGH?
Yeah,
he was just trying to stay on the field.
I mean, what is that? How are you just going to couch it like that? Like,
no, that's what he said in his press conference.
That's still performance enhancement.
Is it?
Well, yeah, because isn't
it performance maintenance?
I think that's the definition of semantics.
Well, he just wanted to be on the field.
Pudge Richardson, he should be extended. Who would be a better option? Skip Schumacher is with Texas now.
Yeah, and you don't know. You're right. I don't disagree. I think Oli did a great job with what he had to work with last year, but things change, and you never know. And I think Ollie's fine. And if I were the Cardinals, I would say, yeah, you know what, we're going to work on something. Let's just make sure that we're on the same page here. So, by the way, that team, that 96 team was Pettit, Kenny Rogers, Doc Gooden, Jimmy Key, Cone, and Mendoza. And then they got
by the way, Kenny Rogers and Doc Gooden sounds like it could have been a pitching combination in 1965 as much as it was in 1996.
Yeah. And then in 98,
Kenny
that's when
Rogers
they
and Doc
that's when they got El Duque. Let's see. That was Pettit. No, David Wells.
Gooden.
Oh yeah, Cone, Arabu, and El Duque.
Bubs, we could pull our own Phillip Rivers and sign Pools to a 1-year deal.
Oh, there you go. Albert met with the media today talking about managing that that World Baseball Classic Dominican team. And that would be fun. That would sell tickets, I guess.
Ali doesn't need to be signed at this time, coming from Craig Lewis. They didn't tender any contracts to the scouts that went beyond the next season due to the pending lockout strike in 2027.
Yeah. So that's fine.
Tell me there's no front office contracts that are signed right now through 2027, though? Come on. That'd be crazy. It wouldn't. I guess it wouldn't shock me that much. They are teams are pretty, billion-dollar organizations do usually think well pretty.
Yeah, that's why they're billion-dollar
That's
organizations.
why they're billion-dollar organizations. That's fair.
All right.
Samuel House says 100 losses. I guess they really could change things.
Yeah, good.
I think Randy's point is less about doubting that Oli Marmol is the manager of this team's future, and more just saying that we were just talking about is that if you're a billion-dollar organization and you see what's coming down the pike. To the previous texter's point, you don't sign your scouts past 2027. Why add an unnecessary deal to 2027 that you don't need to have signed?
With this organization,
It's
as
fair.
it's presently constituted, if you have questions, start your internal investigation by asking yourself, what's the money situation? Always start by following the money.
So that's a good way to go about life in any way, shape, and form.
Yep. Unless you're the Dodgers, who, by the way, signed Edwin Diaz and Timmy Trumpet apparently today to a 3-year deal worth $69 million. So he's there. Diaz is back in L.A. or in L.A. Schwarber is back in Philadelphia.
Yeah, the problem when you try to follow the money with the Dodgers is you end up looking at a book that's scheduled for 2065 in Japan, and then you're completely lost. So stay away from looking at the books of the Dodgers.
Yeah. Now, if you want to follow money and you want to get some, then what you need to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, because Missouri, you got it now. You've got the ability to check out the Falcons, and we talk about easy money. The Falcons and Bucks tomorrow night. Your moment is finally here, because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is live in Missouri, and now you can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays. You can play money lines and props and more, all from your phone, and it's safe and secure and really easy to use. And game day, right? You know about the noise and the passion. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap, every touchdown, every win. It'll change the way you watch and consume sports. And right now, if you're a new Missouri customer, bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action, powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code STL Sports. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code STL Sports that you see on your screen right there. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. One single use odds boost per customer. Market boosted to plus 100 odds. Max bet $50. Expires at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, December 7th. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Randy, I tell you what, just like we're talking about our good friends at DraftKings, we're going to leave that promo code up for you guys more to jump on, have a little fun. Obviously, bet responsibly, but the promo codes and stuff are always up and out there. It's been fun this week to jump on. So download DraftKings. Make sure you're using that when you sign up to make sure you get your boost.
I wonder if
it's been a lot of good fun.
Do you think anybody had Jalen Hurts have 2 turnovers on one play?
I don't even know if it was open on the book, because it had never happened before. So
Andrew Rogers and I had a parlay where I took the Chargers on the money line.
Mm-hmm.
He took Hurts to throw a pick, and we did really well.
You guys did very well.
Yeah.
My household had a rough night last night, as my lovely girlfriend took the over at 41 and a half.
Oh.
And I took the under
at
39 and a half.
Okay.
So we got screwed completely. It hit right in the middle of the two over-unders.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
To absolutely no success whatsoever.
How good is Vegas?
We seem to be frozen a little bit. Oh, well, it happens. We'll keep rolling on here. Speaking of things that are a lot of fun, we saw something yesterday that came out about Eli Drinkwitz's new contract with the Missouri Tigers, and it came out that if he wins 8 games, or every season that he wins 8 games, he will automatically get another year extension and $200,000 added to his salary. And a lot of Mizzou fans reacted to that in different ways. A lot of SEC fans from outside of Missouri reacted to that with pure mockery. Ray Karraker, your thoughts on Jimmy Sexton pulling just a beautiful agent move? You just gotta tip your cap and give a little golf clap when a guy like Sexton pulls it off.
And here's the thing: why would he ever want to leave now? You don't have to sign him to an extension. They signed him to an extension last July 24th, and then they signed him to another extension in November, and they had signed him to an extension a couple of years before that.
That's got to be the only time in your career. That's got to be like one of the first times in your career you've ever covered a coach getting 2 extensions in a calendar year. In less than a calendar year.
Never happened before. So I like this. I would like it regardless of the team that I followed, but because of the way it's set up, for him to get another year and $200,000 more in terms of salary every year, you don't need to give him an extension. If he has 4 8-win seasons in a row, then all of a sudden it's another $800,000, and he's going to be right there among the highest paid college coaches, and you're going to be able to keep him around. So you don't even have to bother with negotiating new extensions. He also got more money for his staff, which is really important. Balake Baker, to stay at LSU, was getting more than $2.5 million. That's how much he was making last year as their defensive coordinator. So
tell me, Eric Link's getting paid more now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
fine.
Eli's going to make $10.25 million for 26, $10.45 million in 27, $10.65 in 28, $10.85, and it's going to keep going up. And he likes Missouri. He likes being where he is, and they can mock it all they want. But you know what? I would guess there's probably some schools that would love to have the knowledge that their coach isn't going to leave because he's satisfied and happy. You're telling me that as soon as Lane Kiffin gets to a championship game, that he's not going back to the NFL?
Well, yeah, because again, the guy from Ole Miss hit it correctly. Right? You can't turn a hoe into a housewife.
Yeah, there you go. And there's other guys. I think the guys that are probably entrenched, I don't think Kalen DeBoer is. Let's just look at the SEC. I think Lee might be, because he's making more than any Vandy coach has ever made. Their administration seems to be invested in him and in the program. So you've got Vandy and you've got Mizzou. Clearly A&M and Texas are entrenched. And if, regardless of what Steve Sarkisian wants, Texas can afford to pay it. But if we already know if Mississippi State has a coach that does anything good, you know what's going to happen? He's going to go. He already went to Florida. Florida will probably fire their guy, Summerall. He'll be gone within 4 years, because that's just what happens at Florida.
But the reason why
Kiffin will be gone.
But you understand why other SEC fan bases were making fun of this a little bit,
why?
Correct?
No, why?
Because how impressive is an 8-win season? Is what they're going off.
Well, who's saying it?
They're pointing. Well, as usual, when it comes to Mizzou crap, it's almost always Tennessee, Oklahoma, or Arkansas fans. Overwhelming majority of the times, if they're in your mentions, they're Tennessee, Oklahoma, or Arkansas.
I
fans.
think that Tennessee and Arkansas would be very happy if somebody told them going into every year you're going to win 8 or 9 games. And here's the thing: we aren't Alabama, we aren't Georgia, we aren't Texas. We should be really happy with 8-4, 9-3 every year, because that's what our history is. And generally, Eli Drinkwitz is doing way better than that. But going 8-4, like they did this year, in losing to 3 teams that are in the college football playoff and another one that was right on the edge, and winning 8 games, that is not a disastrous season by any stretch.
So here's why some people are clowning it, because, so 12-game schedule, the new way the schedule is built, you get 3 non-conference games and 9 conference games now in the SEC. Right. So you win your 3 cupcake non-conference games.
But you have to play a Power 4.
It's true, but UMass is a Power 4. So
no, They're in the Power Four.
Were they not a power? I guess they're not a Power 4 conference. Never mind.
It's got to be an ACC, Big 10, or Big 12 team.
I thought that rule was on the Big 10 had that because it was 8+1. Or no, I thought the SEC already had that rule. I thought you had to play a big.
But now they're
4.
playing 9 conference games too.
Now they're playing the 9
so you're
conference
playing
as well.
10
Okay.
Power 4 teams.
Okay, you can still probably they're
You play
Mizzou's,
KU.
Yeah, Mizzou's third. Mizzou's
But here's the thing:
Power 4.
Like, what happens if KU gets good, like they did in
No.
2007? Because you're scheduling 5, 6, 7, 8 years in advance.
True. So let's just we can safely assume that the overwhelming majority of times they will go 3-0 in non-conference play. By the way they schedule
right because they're because they're a good program.
So then they have to go 5-4 in conference play to hit this level.
Uh-huh.
And some of the reasons that people then make fun of that as the bar is because let's just look at 2026. All he has to do is beat Kentucky, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Florida, and an Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin.
Okay,
that's 5 conference.
Look
wins.
at 27.
27. He has to beat Arkansas.
Mhm.
Let's say Vandy probably falls off after Diego Pavia leaves. So that's a fair one.
Okay.
So Arkansas, Vandy, South Carolina,
okay.
And then he's got Tennessee, Auburn, and the other 4 are very hard. But Tennessee and Auburn, could they be good? Yes. Could they be bad? They also could be bad.
If you have a winning record in the SEC, you've accomplished something.
And that's the line that, and I'm sure that was Jimmy Sexton's rationale, and that's a completely fair rationale to have. It's just that there will be seasons when getting to that 5 does mean you got to take on a good Tennessee team, or to your point, a good Florida team in the 2026 schedule. Go to the 2028 schedule.
Don't they have
still
Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and
LSU and Alabama
and Arkansas every year?
Oh, yes.
Every year
Yes.
they've got Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Arkansas.
And so, look at 2028. 2028 is another one where they get 5 home games, 4 away games. That's the other reason why 27 is so tough. 5 of those are away, including Bama, LSU, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. But yeah, it's insane. 2028, you get home is Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Kentucky, Florida. Again, you're still having to beat, to your point, you're still having to beat at least one program that they might be on a down year. But again, if Florida's a good team, if Florida's having a good year, 2028, you have to beat 2 good teams to get this contract bonus. 2027, again, if Tennessee or Ole Miss, or if Tennessee still gets good again in 2027, or if Ole Miss remains good in 2026, they do have to probably beat a top 25, top 15 team for him to hit the 8-win threshold. So I get why some people are saying this is proof of the mediocrity of Mizzou. But when you actually, to your point, dive into the new schedule frame, you can see why there's going to be a lot of seasons where 5-4 means 1 or 2 big wins over some quality programs. And there will be 10-win seasons. And those ones will then mean he has 3 or 4 wins over quality programs. And that's damn impressive.
And Matthew, some teams just don't understand, some fan bases don't understand what Mizzou is. They've never really accepted Mizzou as a member of the SEC. Georgia is a blue blood. A&M is a quasi blue blood. Alabama's a blue blood. Texas is a blue blood. Oklahoma is a blue blood. And LSU should be a blue blood. That's 6 of your 16 programs in the SEC that are blue bloods that expect to go 8-0 or 7-1 in the conference every single year. Missouri is more along the lines of Kentucky, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Arkansas. We are historically, they've never won a championship. They've never won a conference championship.
You named a bunch of teams there that haven't played an SEC championship games in the last 20 years.
A national championship.
Oh, okay, fair, fine.
And so there are blue bloods in the SEC where if they win 8 games or they win 5 conference games, that can get a coach fired, but not at Missouri. It's a different animal than what most of the SEC's upper echelon are.
I would like to never be grouped in the same sentence as Kentucky football. Thank you.
Well, they went back and forth basically when Stoops was rolling. It was Mizzou would win one year, Kentucky would win the next. Mizzou would win one, Kentucky would win one, and
those were not normal football games.
Yeah, they both have
stupid punt.
I know, but they both have basically. Mizzou's got a better overall history, but in the SEC, since Mizzou entered the SEC, it's actually kind of similar.
No, it's not. Stop that. Come on. No, that can't. No. Mizzou's played in 2 SEC championship games. Kentucky has won, I think, 1 year with double-digit wins. Since Missouri joined in 2013, they have 2 years with 10 wins. The highest they've ever been ranked is 7th. The highest they've ever been ranked at the end of the season is 12th. No, it is not close. It is nowhere close. They went 2-10. The first 2 years Mizzou was in the SEC. No, I'm not. I refuse to accept that premise. So I'll put Mizzou and South Carolina. Fine. That's 100% fair. But there is a gulf between Mizzou and Kentucky. No way. Come on. I know Stoops had a couple run. You're right. But no, I'm not. I refuse.
Like they might have had a coach named Bear Bryant at Kentucky back in the day.
Yeah, maybe back in the day, that's true. But you don't think of Bear when you think of Bear Bryant. Does anyone on the planet other than people who live in Kentucky think of Kentucky when you say Bear Bryant?
Mizzou, Mizzou has had a run kind of like that, where under Bryant they go 7-3, 8-3. They win the Great Lakes Bowl.
Oh my God.
9-3, 11-1 in 1950. They won the Sugar Bowl, and they win 8-4.
South Carolina has finished.
South Carolina's had one run, and
it was in 2013. Literally, since the first year that Mizzou was involved in the SEC, they have 0 double-digit win seasons. So, I just think that you have always been very realistic about Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are a group of people out there who are saying we have to expect more. And I think you think their expectations have gotten a little bit out of whack. And they think that you're too stagnant with your thought process. And I feel like there's a middle ground somewhere in there. And there's common ground here is all I'm saying.
Here's Mizzou or Kentucky under Stoops. 7-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight bowl games. 7-6, 7-6, 10-3, 8-5, 5-6, 10-3, 7-6, 7.
Flag on the play.
That sounds like Kentucky to me.
Flag on the play,
or like Mizzou to me.
Can I throw a flag on the whole 8 straight bowl games thing?
Yeah.
One of the years they went to a bowl game, they went 5-6,
but
they won the bowl game.
Yeah, there you go.
So what the hell? I'm not counting that as a successful season. They went under 500, and that's with a bowl game victory.
Well, hasn't Mizzou had that too?
Since they got to the SEC?
Yeah, haven't they had a 6-6?
I really hope not.
Under
yeah, they definitely did under Odom.
Under Drink, they did.
Well, technically, they're according to what am I looking at here?
I think
they went 6 and 7. They went 6 and 7 their first 2 years.
Okay.
Or, years 2 and 3, but that was after losing bowl games. Yeah. So they went to that bowl game 6 and 6. They went to a bowl game when they were 4 and 6.
So here's my thing.
I'm not.
And even now, in the portal and NIL era, okay, and Mizzou is doing a great job in getting players out of the portal, and it's a program that is on a great upward trajectory. But Mizzou, again, is like 11th or 12th in the SEC in the recruiting rankings. And the reason that Mizzou people got mad at me is because I said once Mizzou is consistently getting 5-star and 4-star recruits into their school, out of high school, then they can say that we're like Texas or Georgia or Alabama. But
I'm never expecting
even
that.
If Mizzou maxes out the amount of money that they can have, they aren't going to recruit with Texas and with Georgia and with Alabama. It's just not going to happen because those schools have literally a 100-year head start on the University of Missouri in terms of quality.
I'm fine. Yeah, see, and that's where I think the middle ground is. Seeding that you are always going to be starting behind in the race to all those teams.
Yep.
But then I think people are willing to do that, to be realistic. But then the people who are willing to do that, there are people who then say hard stop there and say that the Mizzou can never be worse than that. And essentially, all those teams have a ton of history, but you consistently see teams
worse
than Alabama, Georgia, Texas.
Oh, they're always going to be worse.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they can never be. I'm saying at the bottom of that rung, below those teams.
Yeah.
there are people who think Mizzou needs to establish themselves in that second tier below those teams.
I love that idea.
And to do that, they're going to have to do it with consistency
Mm-hmm.
because while they're not the consistent winners, the bottom line is Auburn, Florida, Tennessee have the history.
Yep.
Now they don't have the consistency and the clout to do it every year. And so I think that's the level that people need to play with. If you're consistently able to compete 2 out of 3 with the majority of that second tier of SEC teams, I'm okay with playing ball.
Yeah.
When LSU has a big year, probably just got to tip your cap and say, okay, we'll play you tough. But if we lose by a touchdown like we have against Alabama this past year or something like that, that it is what it is. But consistently, year after year, they have to be better than the majority of that next tier in the SEC. And right now, they have been in the middle of that majority, not better than it.
And this is why there is a value to having old heads with institutional historical knowledge, because people like me remember 3-7-1, 1-10, 3-8, 5-6, 3-7-1, 2-9, 4-7, 3-7-1, 3-8, 3-7-1, 3-8-1, 3-8-0, 5-6, and then you had those big years of 7-5 and 8-4 before you dropped back to 4-7, 3-8, 4-7, 5-7.
Mhm.
So that's consecutive years between 1983 and 2001 that Mizzou had that. That is an 18-year stretch where you had 2 winning seasons. And so I remember that. So I'm happy. And I believe that the people in my generation are happy when we go 8-4, 9-3, and wind up in a good bowl game, because we know not what Missouri is capable of on the top end, because we've never seen that. We have seen what they're capable of on the bottom end, and it ain't pretty.
And at the same time, it's like there's a reason why when I talk about Mizzou, I really only talk in like the chances they've had. I really only talk about 2013 because I'm realistic about what happened in the conference championship games in 14 and in 2007. And so that's why, like, this season, it's frustrating. But the fact of the matter is it's one possession game against all the teams that you lost to, essentially. Yeah. And they could have been right there. And honestly, all I'm asking for is for Mizzou to have a shot to get into the playoff. And I know there's probably going to be a point over the next 3 or 4 years where that changes, and I go from I just want a shot to they need to be in. Especially if the portal classes continue to rank high, if Drinkwitz continues to get extensions and things like that, if his coordinators continue to get paid more, you have to move up the expectations of the program to keep pushing the level. I think your point is maybe don't take a huge jump.
Yeah, don't think that because you're going 8-4 that you're going 3-9. There is the problem is nuance. We were talking about nuance before we came on the air. People think that if you don't make the playoffs, it's just like going 2-10, and it's not. You can be good and not be a college football playoff team. And I think that's a big problem that we have in college football, even among administrators who are firing coaches who have good years but don't go to the playoffs every year. And it's harder now because of NIL and the portal to go to the playoff every year.
And we have Enrico Palazzo says, do not put us with Kentucky. I agree with you on that one. Samuel Howe says that Vanderbilt moved up a tier. I disagree with that. They just went 10-2. Missouri went 10-2 and 11-2 under Gary Pinkel in their first 2 years, in their second and third year in the SEC, and then they just had the last 2 years before this year of double-digit wins with Eli Drinkwitz. Vanderbilt did not jump a tier. As soon as Diego Pavia is done, Clark Lee's a great coach, but as soon as Diego Pavia is gone, they're going to fall back into the tier below, and I have no problem predicting that.
No, I think that's legitimate, and people kind of thought that when Brad Smith left Missouri, but they had Chase Daniel ready to take over, and they started a nice run there. And by the way, Vanderbilt did they steal a quarterback from Georgia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw they just flipped. So yeah, they flipped a quarterback. They might, and again, that's the world we're living in. Clark Lee's a good coach. You get a little momentum. We saw Mizzou, to your point, gain a little momentum with Brad Smith, gain a little bit with Chase Daniel, and then it died out. Kroenke hater. On the contrary, if they would have landed Mendoza this year, playoff, question mark. Listen, it's completely fair. The guy is literally the Heisman hopeful. To that point, I was just about to mention this. Not actually, I'm being facetious here, but Cignetti really didn't do Drinkwitz a lot of favors by taking over the worst statistical program in D1 history and taking them to the number 1 spot and Big Ten championship. He didn't really give Drink a lot of favors because now every Mizzou fan who doesn't want to acknowledge that they just shot the moon and hit the jackpot. They want to point to why can't the Tigers hit the jackpot on their coach the way that Indiana did.
So
why can't they do it quick enough?
We've been playing college football since the 1880s, I think. And I think that's happened once. I think what has happened at Indiana has happened one time.
It's literally the greatest 2-year improvement in college football history.
Yeah.
So to compare it to be like, well, that's what the Tigers need, or but at the same time though, like I don't want to make people's arguments ridiculous because they are dealing with Eli Drinkwitz in his 6th or 7th year.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't asking Eli Drinkwitz to do that in his 2nd year. They're saying now that you've been here for 6 or 7 years, why haven't you been able to take Missouri through stages up to another tier the way that Cignetti was able to do it in 2 years? So let's get.
And I think they are.
I
think going 11-2, 10-3. If you win 9 this year, only 2 SEC teams with more wins in the last 3 years. I would say that does put Missouri on a different tier than they were in when he took over for Barry Odom.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it sounds defeatist, but I live in a reality where Mizzou will never be able to, year after year, punch with Texas, Alabama, LSU, Georgia.
And you have to hope that a couple of times a decade you can. Iowa's in the same boat. Illinois is in the same boat. There's a lot of programs in America that are in the same boat as Missouri. There's a dozen, maybe 15 blue bloods that plan on being great every year. Some of them, Texas had a really long run where they weren't great. Some of them don't get great every year.
And I was just about to ask
one other
that.
point, by the way, when you talk about being close last year, Mississippi, no, it wasn't Mississippi State. It was the game at South Carolina that they lost 34-30. If Mizzou makes one tackle in that game at the end of the South Carolina game, then all of a sudden you're looking at 11 or you're 10-2, right? 10-2. No, did you lose a bowl game last year? Or did they win? They won. So they would have been in the conversation for the playoff if they would have won that South Carolina game last year.
Do you ever think we could see what happened to Georgia in the mid 80s through the turn of the century? From 84 to 2001, Georgia had 2 double-digit win seasons. Mm-hmm. Do you think we could ever see, because again, Tennessee had a lull, Auburn's had big lulls, Florida has lulls. Do you think we could ever see a lull again in Georgia football?
Absolutely. Yeah. They think that the Mark Richt years were a lull.
They do. Although I was about to make a comment about that.
Mizzou, that's when
the
Mizzou
Mark
won
Richt years were ridiculous.
That's when the Mizzou won the division a couple of times.
But the Mark Richt from 2002 to 05 had 4 straight double-digit win seasons in his first 5 years as head coach of Georgia. He turned them around, and then people go, I don't know about the Mark Richt years. Jesus, man, they literally turned on that man.
They did. But that's the way it is. You want to win every game, and it's hard to win a game. It's hard to win a game. And so Mizzou has been doing pretty darn well.
I guess expecting them to consistently be able to, in the cycle, stay above the majority of the next tier of SEC teams is fair. But now in the NIL, I guess the reality is, unless the NIL money and the booster money takes a big jump, then even just coach them up on the field isn't going to get Mizzou consistently into that tier. It's always going to be play 9 or 10, hope for the 12-win pop. It's always going to be that.
3 years a long time?
No,
it's not.
Not really.
If somebody would tell you your college team is going to average 10 wins a year,
I take that.
That's where Mizzou is right now.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, me too. All right. Thanks to Mike Claiborne for joining us. Thanks to Wilson for getting us on the air. And don't forget, you need to download that DraftKings Sportsbook app and participate with us with DraftKings because the crown is yours. And don't forget, you can become an insider too. Just go to stlsportscentral.com and you can watch Bernie and I. You can read Bernie's great work and become an insider here at STL Sports Central. Great work by you as always.
You as well, Randy.
Thank you. And we will see you tomorrow at roughly 3 o'clock Central on the Randy Karraker Show. Take care, everyone.